also stepping out of the conference hall. Let's find out from him what he makes of today's IPAC meeting generally, and raising some concerns that we want to know if the EC has managed to answer their questions.
We have 7 days and few hours to the December 7 elections. We also have few days to the special vote. It is very obvious that the Electoral Commission is not prepared for this election. And we hope, shall I say pray, that over the next few days, they put their house in order. Why are we saying this? The officers who are supposed to be assisting the Electoral Commission to perform the task, you heard them there. The list is not even ready. All because they misinterpreted releasing of the list not less than 10 days to the election. Because of that, it means that whatever petitions that will be sent to them, they would have to deal with those petitions, and even if they find some of the officers as not being appropriate to perform the task, because as they said, they are now training them. We have 7 days to the elections. They are now training the officers who are going to lead us in this election. That in itself is very bad. The next point has to do with what I refer to as financial loss that the Electoral Commission is causing. We've had too many instances of ballot papers being reprinted. And the last of it had to do with voter region. Look, as I told them in the meeting, our people in the print house had the ballot statistics. The print house obeyed the ballot statistics. So the question is, how come in the voter region they identified that the ballot papers, the booklets that were sent were inadequate? It means that the ballot statistics at the print house contradict the data that the regional director and the district directors have in the voter region. That is why I was insisting that they tell us the cause of this discrepancy. Unfortunately, they just smuggled themselves through it, many words, without addressing the cause. And that in itself is at the heart of this election. When we were talking about discrepancies in the register, these are some of the manifestations. And who pays for these reprint? Is the taxpayer. The EC is causing financial loss. It may not be willful, but they are inadvertently causing financial loss to this state. Now, you are going to reprint the voter region one. Voter region alone suffered the phone start one with Ahafo, where the serial numbers had issues, and then it had to be shifted to a different company, Alt Commercial. And then we are also dealing with another issue regarding voter region that has to do with shortage. It could have been avoided if the right ballot statistics had been issued by the Electoral Commission. Let's put this aside. Another thing is the coalition officers that you heard us discuss. Do it in consultation with political parties. Not NDC alone, not GCPP alone, not PNC alone, not LPG alone, not MPP alone. They had not done it. So they had to struggle to try and state that, they are not appointing regional coalition officers. But in that case, they are appointing coalition officers in the regions. When you go to the constituency and you appoint a coalition officer, you call the person a constituency coalition officer. But when you are caught at the regional level and faced with CI 127, you quickly say that the coalition officer that you have appointed to be collating at the regional level is not a regional coalition officer. Look, we want a peaceful, free, fair, transparent elections. We want the EC to be truthful. We've had too many errors dating back from the days of the registration of voters, arithmetic errors, too many errors. The Electoral Commission must halt, do some introspection. And it is not too late. UNDP has capacity. They can assist them. They have been involved. The Peace Pact, the development partners were actively involved. The same way they should allow the development partners to assist them for them to be able to deliver credible elections. We don't want an outcome that will let us witness what happened in 2020, where the chairperson, Madame Jemensa, declares results, comes back to make a correction, and comes back again to correct. Double correction. We don't want that. Ghana's democracy is advanced. If they cannot add to the gains, they should just maintain the standards. They should not subtract from it. It is also refreshing that the assurance has been given that in this election, in counting, the presidential votes will be counted first, and also in the coalition, the presidential votes will be collated first, and then the parliamentary second. What I was trying to seek, and they closed the meeting prematurely, was whether they were going to use any other indelible ink other than what we know. Because from the grapevine, we had heard that they were trying to use some pen markers. It was confirmed to me here in this hall that yes, they were trying to use the pen markers, but they've decided to go for the original indelible ink that we know, that we all dip our fingers in. That is refreshing. There was another issue that I was going to raise. I raised it with them immediately after the meeting. That is per their own memo in October. They were asking the regional directors to empty the ballot boxes that were used in 2023 for the district level elections. When they asked, in that memo, they said they should keep certain items for reuse. There was no problem with the items listed, except for one. That is a validating stamp. Because a validating stamp cannot be naked before the elections. The only time a validating stamp must be naked should be the morning of that election. So you unwrap it in the morning. Otherwise, unscrupulous people who are printing ballot papers, and some people are printing ballot papers, and we are monitoring, who are printing ballot papers, if they know the identities of these validating stamps, will just go and replicate them, stamp them ahead of time, and use them, bring them into staff a ballot papers, and will create confusion. Fortunately, they've given the assurance here that that aspect of their own memo, they are not going to stick to it, and that they are using fresh validating stamps. So on the side of the validating stamp, they've given the assurance that they are not going to reuse. On the side of the indelible ink, they've also given the assurance that it's not going to be any pen marker, but it's going to be all the one that we know, where you dip your eye finger. I also raised the issue about the media issue. Because we should have a definite solution. We have 7 days to go. If you know what happens in media houses prepare. Media houses may even want to send people from the headquarters, Accra, to go and assist certain districts, certain constituencies. If they are not clear in their minds at this stage, when they are supposed to be giving the green light, and whether they will even be giving the green light, and what will be the threshold, how are they preparing? So if you woke up and it's on Thursday that you are being told that, oh, you can cover, how are the media houses, the media owners going to budget for all these things? We raised it and they said, well, they will get back to the media in due course. We hope it will be very, very soon.
Doc,
Another one.
Let's interrogate some of the issues you've raised so far.
Let me just come to the observers. You remember Dr. Tanko raised the issue about observers for political parties. There is also a variant of observers, that is civil society organization observers. Some of them, very credible ones, have been denied the opportunity to observe this election. So you begin to interrogate what is in the mind of the Electoral Commission, that you do not even want unfettered access for the media when it comes to collation. And then some credible civil society organizations that also apply, you do not also want to allow them. And when I heard it, they said, oh, there's a committee that is dealing with it. They are the best to respond. They are looking at experience. And I said, some of these civil society organizations have monitored elections at least for more than a decade. So experience, they have it. All we are saying is that we want free, fair, transparent elections. Civil society, media are critical partners. And the success of this election must be anchored also in the work of the media and civil society organizations. They should let the civil society organizations and the media houses have unfettered access. And there are ways to do these things.
Doc, you mentioned a point about the coalition agent the EC said they will be appointing, which you say is in violation of their own CI.
So we still have Dr. Omane Boamah, the man leading the charge for the NDC at the Electoral Commission here, currently addressing the media on a number of issues, and we are basically interrogating him on a number of things he's said so far. And one of the key issues he raised has to do with access to the media, which he noted that must be unfettered. The media must gain unlimited access to the coalition center. Now we want to hear what he has to say to that.
The issue of the coalition officers, like we kept on insisting, they should just give them the right names. They should just call them assistants to the returning officers at the constituency level, and it solved the problem. I don't know why this EC likes going for the complicated solutions. You are appointing someone to assist the returning officer. Per the law, the returning officer is responsible for collation, assembling the results. Why do you want to call this person the collation officer? And if conflict ensues at the constituency collation center, who is going to deal with it at that particular time? We believe that with the sunshine that we have put on this issue, their very orientation for the people that they are appointing will make it very clear to them that they are working under the returning officers, and whatever they do must be subsumed under the authority of the returning officers.
It means whatever it goes, you still work with them.
That means that so long as they are working according to the CI 127 and subjecting the outcome of their work to the scrutiny of the returning officers, it means that it is the returning officer that is in charge of collation at the collation center. And we are working with the returning officer. That is one. Two, regarding the civil society organizations, there are several of them. Even the Nanoquinos civil society organization is one of them. They've been monitoring elections for decades. Okay, there's another very prominent one. I don't know whether I have the permission to name them. The name starts with C. You may want to find out. Very prominent. Very prominent. But you just get in touch with the civil society fraternity and find out from them how many of them have been denied. That will not be difficult at all for you to elicit.
You demanded for the method in terms of the tabulation of the results. That has not been answered. Are you satisfied?
Yeah. It is very clear to you that even as they are trying to appoint constituency coalition officers, they are not ready with some of the most important things that must be done. Why don't they have the Excel formula that they are going to use? And they are going to get back to us on that. They are always ill-prepared for the most important things. Sad for for our democracy. But that is what we have. The Constitution says that this Electoral Commission must organize the elections. We will continue to put them on their toes and ensure that they do the right thing. But we will demand the Excel formula so that there is uniformity across the country. That one we will not compromise. We shall demand the Excel formula that they are going to use so that there will be uniformity across the country. You know why? In 2020, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission came to inform us about changing denominators, if you recall. So we need to get the exact formula they are using. And once we have that formula, it solves one of the many problems.
In all fairness, how will you rate the Electoral Commission's preparedness for the election?
3.7 over 10.
Yes, correct.
Why that low?
We are here 7 days to an election. Some constituencies in the Volta region, we are now going to reprint their ballots. We are here. We do not even know the full complement of the officers who are going to be in charge of the elections. In the 40,648 polling stations, we don't know. You understand? We asked them and they said some may change because they are still working on it. Just because
when are they supposed to give you that?
they should have done that 10 days to the election or earlier. That was their mistake. They took that as it should be 10 days to the time if you listen to them. But they could have done it 30 days before, 60 days before. Who stopped them from doing that? You wait, and then 10 days to the time, you release it. And you heard them. They are still training.
In case you discover some people who are politically tainted, what do you hope to do in the last hour?
We have discovered some. Daboso is one example. And Honorable Kwabena Akando has already submitted. So you can imagine what is going to happen. Because on our part,
almost 2 weeks, the AC hasn't done anything about it.
On our
And you are
part-
still not raising any objection.
on our part, we have even secured the MPP delegates list, which we are comparing across the country. So you can imagine what is going to happen. Because remember, in the Ejiso by-election, there were some MPP polling station officials who were parading themselves as electoral officers during that by-election. It tells you how ill-prepared the Electoral Commission is.
What would you do if you find more of those people?
The same way that we are submitting, we will go ahead and submit. And the EC will have no other option but to replace.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. And that is Dr. Omane Boamah speaking to us on the subject of a number of issues, pertinent issues that were basically discussed here at the Interparty Advisory Committee meeting held here at the Electoral Commission headquarters in Accra.